I have experienced depression and anxiety for pretty much my whole life. I remember even being a really young kid going into preschool, and I remember the feeling of anxiety. And I didn't have the language to describe it at the time, but now I know I was really deeply anxious. And going back, and I keep all of my old journals and even agendas that I had in elementary school. I don't keep a lot of stuff, but that stuff feels really important to me. So going back and reading agendas from elementary school and notes between my teachers and my mom, and I've always been an anxious person. And I started really experiencing depression around the time I hit puberty. Um, I remember staying in bed for an entire month in grade 5 and like not knowing why I felt so terrible. And my mom being the safe person through all of that. And around the time that we found out that she was sick and dying, it was around the same time I was, lurking around the internet as you do when you're 14, and realized I probably have clinical depression and general anxiety, if not some other subset of anxiety disorder. And my family was very, let's work through this together, but they were not, let's take you to the doctor and get you on medication, or let's get you into therapy right away. Or those were not the way that we were dealing with that at the time. They were supportive in the best way they knew how to be, but it was not the way that I would recommend someone handling it now if their kid or young teen came to them and said they were struggling with depression and anxiety. So the way I managed my mental health struggles at the time was through self-harm. And I self-harmed daily for close to 10 years. And so I did that before my mom got sick. It escalated when my mom was sick. After my mom got sick, it escalated in a really serious way to the point where I attempted suicide about a year after she died. I was suicidal for about just over 10 years, I guess. And my grief really skyrocketed that, because the person that I was most comfortable with, the person I felt safe with, maybe even the only person I felt truly safe with, was dead. And as someone who already was struggling with my mental health and how to manage that, that was really, really heavy for me, but also dangerous for me. And when it came to people supporting me, whether that was my friends or my family, they did the best they could. After my mom died, my mom or my dad and one of my aunts really advocated for me to start therapy, and I did go on medication, and neither of those were the right fit right then. It was quite a process to find what worked for me to manage my own mental health, which was just so compounded with my grief. I often wonder if it would have escalated to that extent if I hadn't been grieving my mom's death. And not just her death, but the process of her dying. And then also trying to care for the people around me while they were grieving, because, all this self-harming behavior and my suicidal feelings, for the most part, was something that I was very private about. And until my suicide attempt, I was very private because I didn't want anyone around me to carry that in addition to their grief. It was something I was carrying alone. And if there's anyone who is listening to this and watching this and can relate to what I'm saying, I want you to know that there are people who want to hear about what's going on for you, and it's not too much. You're not too much. I've been told I'm too much my whole life. You're not too much. What's going on for you is valid. You're not crazy. You are feeling this way for a reason. It's okay that you're feeling the way you're feeling. Acting on those feelings and behaving in ways that are harmful to you, that's not okay. And I don't mean that in a shaming way. I mean that in a, you deserve support. and you deserve to be honest and truthful about what's going on for you because you're so far from alone in that.